Hello, everyone. So, hope you're doing great. So, welcome to the series of Alteryx Designer. So, in this lesson, specifically, I was talking about Alteryx Designer user interface. So, in our previous topic, I talked about configuration window. Now, we'll be looking at a results window in Alteryx Designer user interface. So, let's get started. So results window displays the state of the data, like how the data flows between each tool to the other tool, and their input and output data as well. So we can see the input data of a particular tool as well as the output data of a particular tool in the results window. So this is very cool feature. So let's say you have used a join tool uh, between two input data. So the data that you have passed to the left side of the join and the data that you have passed at the right side of the join, you will be able to see those two data, how it flows to the join tool as well as the output of the join tool in the same results window just by clicking on the tool. I'll show you in a moment how you can see those details. Also, there is one thing to note. Uh, all output data, like whatever tool that you use in Alteryx Designer and that outputs data to results window, all of those output is limited to 1 MB. And if there are string types, they will be limited to first 1,000 bytes. But when it comes to browse tool, if we use browse tool in our Alteryx Designer workflow, then there are no limitations to it. That's why it's not recommended to use browse tool in Alteryx Designer because it hits the performance. So there are certain cases where we can use browse tool just for testing purpose, but in the workflow, as a general practice, we should not use browse tool. Okay, so let's see this in action. Let's see more details about what information we can find in results window. Okay, so in results window, there are 7 key information we can find it. So first is we can view metadata, we can view data, we can view the results table, and we can view the workflow and tool messages. We can view both workflow as well as tool messages. We can see what type of message is it and from which tool the message is coming from, and what is the performance profiling of the workflow. So let's see all these details in action. I have opened a sample workflow. So now I want to see the metadata of a tool in the results window. So I can click on this tool, and here you can see this is the results window. The section that you see at the bottom, this is the results window. So under results window, if you do not select anything, you can see there are some options which doesn't have any warnings or conversion errors, any errors. Nothing is mentioned here, just the headers. So why? Because we did not run our Alteryx workflow yet. So once we run our Alteryx workflow, all those options will keep appearing here. So let's click on one of our tool and see the metadata. So here you can see the metadata of your tool, like what is the name or what is the record number, how many records do we have, how many columns do we have, what is the type of the data, what is the size, and from where, what is the source of the data. So we can see all these things. So if I hit the data tab in the results window, I do not see anything because I have not run my workflow yet. So let me go ahead and run my workflow. Now you can see all those details come up. Yeah, so our workflow has run successfully. So here you can see finished running one combined two spreadsheets containing customer data in 2.2 seconds. Okay, press OK. Now let me go to the metadata. See, the metadata is same. Even you can see metadata before running the workflow, but the data we were not able to see it. So once I ran the workflow, now I'm able to see the data. So here you can see data at each point of the tool. So let's say I'm in input data. So here's the input data. So if I hit here, I can see the input data of my workflow. See, I have selected here. So what is the input data? This is the input data from spreadsheet one. So if I hit here, it will show me the input data from spreadsheet 2. So notice this data tab is selected in the results window. So similarly, what input went? So we all know that the input went to this select tool is from the input data tool. But I want to see what was the output after we passed through the select tool. So let me select this, and you can see what change, what was the change. So what did we do? Convert the data type of customer ID to improve sorting. So what was the data type of customer ID before? Let me go to the input data tool and see metadata. It was a string. But now after using select tool, now we have changed it to int 32. We can do it from here. So we have lots of data types here. Now we are passing this result to the join tool. So now we can see what data we are passing to the join tool by clicking on the data here. Then even once we have joined the data, I can see the results of my left join. If I click on L section of my join, if I click on J label of my join, it will show me the inner join of the data. And if I click on R label of my join, it will show the right join of my data. So even you can see these labels here as well: left join, and right join. Okay, so left join, inner join, and right join. So this was about metadata and data. So what do we have next? So next we'll look at the results table. So this is the results table. So once we get some output, so this is the results table. So this is the output results table. So in this results table, you can notice a lot of things. You can copy to clipboard. You can search through your data. Let's say you want to search something. 199. You can search through the data. Or you can also see the bars, the color bars, the green here. Okay, so in Alteryx we have some color bars. So let me get you to the Alteryx documentation to show you what all color bars we have. So we have different color bars in Alteryx results table. So these colors bar are called data quality bars. So based on how our data is in the results table, it assigns some color to our field. So if the color bar is green, that means it indicates that uh, we have no data quality issues in that particular column. For example, there are no white spaces. So if our field have some null values, then it will indicate the field in yellow bar. If our fields have some leading or trailing white spaces or some embedded new lines in it, then it will label the data in red. That means not okay. Similar way, it will label the data in gray. That means it's a string data and at least one string has no value. So if you convert strings to other data type, empties are converted to nulls. So these data quality issues are tagged into gray. So we have another lines as well called diagonal lines. So it's also called partial results. So what does it indicate? When you run a workflow and your workflow has data more than 1,000 rows or more than 1 MB, then it will have a diagonal lines. That means you should come to know that um, the quality bar only reports the quality of data currently displayed in the results window. So that means there are more data in our workflow output, but the color bars that are displayed on the top is for the result that is output, that is displayed, the limited data displayed in our results window. Okay, so next we have fields. So let's see what are these other values in Alteryx Designer. So we have fields here in the results window. That means we have selected all 12 fields. So all 12 fields are being displayed in the results window. So if you want to uncheck some of them, we can uncheck them. So now we'll display only 7 fields in our output. So in the same way, okay, so once we are done, we can either select or deselect our changes. The same way we have cell viewer. The cell viewer shows the details of our data, like what is the field one, and what is its name, what is its data type, and how much size does it have, what is the source location, and what is the description. So this is what cell viewer shows. So we can even select some data here and do a sorting. Like if I want to do sorting, I can select this. Selection. Oh, this is not working. I'll look into it later. Okay, so even if you want to filter some data, let's say I have selected on customer segment. If I want to filter string equals home, so I want to select all data from customer segment that string equals home. I'll select apply. So it will apply a filter. It will apply a filter on the result output data. But if you want to remove the filter, we can just hit this. So whatever filter we are applying, it will apply to the results window. So if you don't want to apply those changes, just remove it. So if you want to sort the data, you can use the sorting option from here. So it will sort based on ascending or descending. So right now customer ID is selected. So if you want to change it to customer segment and sorting by ascending or descending, you can sort the data. Okay, so what do we have next? So next we have actions button in the results window. So see here we have copy to clipboard option. So here we have various options, like we want to copy all records with headers, or we want to copy all records without headers. We want to copy selected cells with header, or we want to copy selected cells without header. So let's have selected this cell, and I'll say selected cells with headers. So this will ask me a question. There may be truncated strings in the data to be copied. I should want to do is I say okay. So it will allow me to export this data, or I have copied. So it has copied to the clipboard. I can paste somewhere in the new window, new results window. So copy selected cells with header. So once I do this, I can paste this data to another results window. So I have come here and pasted this. So my result got pasted in another workflow, which I have copied from this results window. Okay. Now let's see the messages type that appear in configuration results window. So we have different types of messages that are tabbed. So if you see here, we have currently by default, all messages is selected. That's showing all the messages of a workflow once we have run the workflow. So in the results window, under last run, so if you select configuration, so there are no configuration errors here. So these are configuration related errors. So there are no configuration related errors here. But when you select last run, so the workflow we have run just before some time. So whatever the messages, like if you see errors, so right now there are no errors, zero errors. If we see conversion errors, so there are no conversion errors. So errors indicate that there are some failures in our workflow. There could be some problem. We need to fix that. Conversion error means we have some data type conversion errors, so that might be failing. So here we'll have number of conversion errors, field conversion errors. Then here you will have warnings. That does not mean there is some, it does not stop workflow to run, but you have to address these warnings as well. Then you have a messages. So messages indicate the flow of the data from input to output, how the data is being flown. So you can see the details here. So it's first, it says started running the workflow. Then the designer reported allocated request memory would be allowing more than physical memory. So it gave some message here that what's happening in our workflow. Then then we have another message that 1,000 records were joined with 1678 unjoined left records and 0 unjoined right records. So these are some details of our tool. Then finally, our workflow is finished. So this is the message of our workflow and how much time it took. So now here you can see under files tab, what are the files that we used in our workflow. So we have used two input data files, like input data 1 and input data 2, and there was one output file, and that we are saving our operation, the data pipeline final result into the output data CSV file. So here you can see the tool IDs as well. So if I select this, so what is the ID of this tool? I can see it here under the configuration. So here you can see the one means the ID of this tool is one. So by looking at the IDs of the tool, you can recognize, okay, so which tool um, does it have, like which tool the problem we have. So if there are some problems, and if it displays the tool and the tool ID, you can quickly go to the number and check what the problem and where is the problem. So it will be easier for you to debug. So there is another thing that we can see in results window, that is performance details of profiling. So let's say we have our workflow. So I have selected on this empty space. It shows the workflow configuration here. I'll go to the runtime and say enable performance profiling. So note, you should not enable this for your every workflow. So you should enable this only for the workflow for which you are testing the performance. So right now I have enabled this. Let me run it once again. So now it shows me the lot more details here in my results window. So it shows me how much time each tool took to process the information. So let's say input data one, it took 975.14 milliseconds. So that's the time, profile time. What is the time? So you can see these results here. So overall, our data pipeline took 2.2 minutes to complete this, and we can see mm, the one which took a lot of time is the input data one. So by this, we can say, okay, let me go back and check this. So by this, we can say these are all the things that we need to see in the results window. So it's a lot of things that we have in the results window, a lot of messages, warnings. So you will you can debug a lot of things if you know very good, if you are very good at results window. So that's it for today. To summarize, we have looked at results window in Alteryx Designer user interface, and we have looked at the metadata, how we can see metadata, how we can see data, how we can see the input and output flow of the data in the results window, how we can see the error messages, the tool and its ID, and how we can select or unselect some columns in the results window, how we can sort and filter on the results window. So these all things that we have looked at. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for more videos. So if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Until then, thank you very much. Thanks for watching.